Mayor's office?
Yes, hi there. I just wanted to speak with the mayor, but obviously there's kind of appointments you'd have to set up, things like that.
Sure.
Ultimately, I guess I could leave a voicemail, but I'm trying to report the OIM failing to investigate correctly, the internal affairs who failed to investigate correctly, the police who had not taken a call of DU correctly. So it's all the way up the chains. You guys are the last step, if
Okay.
I'm correct on that.
Okay. Do you have some background information that you could send me? I'm sure you've been documenting your
Oh yeah,
interaction.
the entire thing. Well, I mean, I still have a lot of stuff to get on YouTube, but I put the original event on YouTube that should answer all questions right away.
Okay.
It's pretty scary, but it's pretty real. I'll tell you this. So, in a nutshell, Denver University, they have security guards there, and they're not sworn officers. Like up here in Fort Collins, we have a CSU, actual police department. Down there, they're just private security guards. One night, my brother and I were leaving their library, and we were detained by them. We gave over our IDs because we had initially asked if they were cops because, like I said, our experience with CSU up here.
Sure.
They actually said they were cops, and so right away it was an impersonation criminal charge right there. And then it all happened so fast. We gave over our IDs. They ran them without actual cops present, which they're not even supposed to have that power either. But then after the fact, once they cleared us and they had spoken with a librarian, they undetained us. And by the way, detaining, we didn't have to be physically detained. We conceded to their authority. Basically, if someone doesn't physically detain you, but you as a cop have a show of authority, we conceded because they said don't reach into your pockets, and we felt like we were not free to leave. Like a reasonable person would not feel like they're free to leave. And so basically, after they undetained us, we quickly found out, drilled down that they were not sworn police officers, and we went ahead and reported that to the police. Called them in right then and there. A couple of officers had shown up. It turns out they were the officers that had been kind of working with them for years. And so we tried to explain the situation to them, but they didn't have the correct definitions of words down, so they didn't know the law on how to even take the call correctly. And so they said,
The police officers?
Yeah, the police officers. They said, were you in cuffs? And it's like, no, we conceded to the authorities. We didn't need to be cuffed. But they said, it was only for a couple minutes. And so they wouldn't take the call of an actual criminal allegation of impersonation and false imprisonment. And so we had to report them to, actually it was a failure to report. They said they wouldn't even write it down, just at all. Said that there was nothing to write down. And so we reported failure to report on top of the impersonation and false imprisonment charges to internal affairs. And they went ahead and the best words that we can describe is that they ratified the behavior of the lower officers, that was okay, and they ratified that the security guards, what they did was okay. They said the same things, like it was only for a couple minutes. They had good cause that you were leaving the library with some bins, things like that. And so they basically sort of agreed with their officers that security guards have the powers to detain. And so, real quick, obviously, police officers only have Terry stop powers. It was a Terry stop. And so we had to report to the OIM that internal affairs had kind of failed on knowing the law. But at that point, we had gotten a lot of the definitions correct, and at least we were talking on the same paradigms. But they because they didn't know the law, OIM, no, let's put it this way, they did the exact same thing. And then so they also presented that information to the deputy district attorney, and the district attorney threw himself under that same bus. And so, everybody and their mother now basically thinks that security guards, or have effectively ratified that security guards have the powers to detain that are similar in fashion to police officers. In fact, the actual security guards themselves that night used the words reasonable suspicion, and that's why we got so fooled at the time when we thought they were still cops, that they were cops, because they were using definitions that cops would use. Reasonable suspicion. We're stopping you. We're holding you just for an investigation. We're not charging you anything like that. And so, obviously security guards, the only powers they have are the same type as civilian powers to basically do a citizen's arrest only upon witnessing an actual crime in front of them. And so, this was just a 100%, we're investigating to find out what's going on. And then they let us go. And then right after that, they banned us for retaliatory purposes because we had tried to report them.
Okay.
Yeah, it happens a lot. We actually have like 20, 30 of these cases now. We're really, really good pro se attorneys. We keep learning more stuff as we go along life. But really basic stuff, like security guards aren't supposed to be able to detain people. And so from here, the OIM, we have to report. It's kind of one last step of good faith before we release a big, fat, ugly complaint to the world that there's been some sectors of the government that have started to fail. And so, in a nutshell, if you were to leave a voicemail or something to the effect of the mayor's office, let me put this, say this real quick. I happen to have gotten a hold of someone else in internal affairs. I started calling back down the chains. And before he knew what I was talking about, we got on the topic of detained powers. And he's like, Terry law, that only applies to cops. And I was like, exactly. You can go take my complaint now. And it clicked. He hung up on me. And so
okay.
So people are just, I don't want to say this, but we've caught some sort of image problem with a certain demographic of people, usually rich, white, yuppie type people. And they just don't want to handle when something really, really bad happens, and they'd rather kind of ratify on through that was okay behavior, when that is totally unacceptable behavior. And so right now, to this point, to this day, no one has ever corrected anybody on this. And so for all we know, DU security guards are still going around detaining people, impersonating cops, which should not be happening.
Correct.
So.
Okay. So if you could, I would love to see an email with all of this information, including the names of the people that you've spoken to. I'm sure you have an impeccable record of these events. So if you could send that to me.
Sure. Actually, yeah, we're just about ready to release the complaint, but I can give you an email of just the playlist with what we got so far.
Okay.
Or you don't even have to, for record purposes, I'll send you an email. But the problem is with us is we're so backed up on information. We haven't really had a chance to write much down. And so, if you want, you can just look it up, the actual playlist itself on YouTube. It's really easy to get to.
Yeah. So if you would send me an email with that link.
Sure. With
some additional information that may not be in there, just so I make sure that I am relaying the exact incidences that happened, that would be wonderful.
Yeah, absolutely. In the next couple of days, we'll get the rest of the info up. We have the internal affairs letters, stuff like that back from them and stuff like
Great.
that. So,
Great. I will take it all.
Sure, thank you. This is the farthest I've gotten with people on this end. So,
sorry to hear that.
Yeah, it's whatever. We don't mind. Thank you to the 21st century. We have technology that records it all, and most people don't know we're recording, which is so funny because that's how we catch it all. So, but it's very serious too, though. Very serious. If you have an email, what do you got?
I do. It's Tess, Tess.
Truitt. Sam.
Yes.
Okay.
Trewin, TREWIN. At denvergov.org.
So denvergov, one word.
Correct.
.org. Fantastic. What was your name again?
Tess.
Oh, Tess. So you are Tess. Fantastic.
Yep.
Well, thank you very much. And also thank you for, sounds like you understand the gist of it, that security guards should be doing this thing. Definitely shouldn't be running people's names without cops present. That was kind of like an obvious thing that we sort of got through to some of the internal affairs guys, but then they just sort of it fizzled out. And so No one's holding anybody to any fires anymore. Jeez, it's bad. But mayor's office, maybe you can sort some things out. So I really appreciate it.
Well, I appreciate you taking the time to give us a call.
Yeah, absolutely. Hope you have a good rest of your day.
Thanks, you too.
Thanks, bye.
Bye-bye.